Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. You're gonna love it here. So today we're talking about creating boundaries and how to set them. And so we're gonna jump right in because when you see a title like that, you just wanna get to the meat of the message. And so the first thing I wanna start with is capacity. So a lot of times when you are setting a boundary or even figuring out what the boundary needs to be with the person, you need to figure out, do they have the capacity to even understand what the boundary is? And do they have the capacity to play the role in your life that you're expecting them to play, even when you put this boundary in place? For example, a lot of times when I have counseled so many people, or even when I've coached people, you hear instances where they want a parent or a sibling to play a certain role in their life because that's their title. The title is mom, the title is dad. So you want mom to play mom and dad to play dad. But the thing is, capacity is based on emotional and spiritual maturity. If the person is not emotionally mature enough, they may not be able to play the role like you want them to play the role. You say, well, you're my mom, you're supposed to be happy for me. I would love to tell you that every mom is happy for their daughter or son when they accomplish something, but that's just not the truth. Some don't have the capacity because of their own trauma, issues, and all the things. And so instead of trying to make, my dogs are fighting, ignore them. They're playing with a toy. Instead of trying to get people to play the role that you want them to play, or even the role that their title says they should play, you ask yourself, does this person have the capacity to even do that? If they do not, it is time to set boundaries to keep you from continuously being disappointed, because you want this person whom you love, rightfully so, to play a role that they just cannot play. They don't have the capacity. And so then you go into setting that boundary. So let's say there's someone that you would love, every time you call and you want to tell them good news, the response they give you is like maybe poking holes, or they don't want to celebrate you as much, and you're excited and now you're disappointed because they're the first person you call and you didn't get the answer that you wanted. Instead of trying to change that person to continuously calling them, hoping one day they'll change, call the person who does and set the boundary that you no longer call this person to give them that type of information. You no longer call them when you want to be celebrated and congratulated. You call them for the things that they are doing well for in your life. You have them around for a reason because there is something they are fulfilling that is going great, right? Call them for those things. But the other things, maybe you are missing the other people God has put in your life to do that specific thing, to fulfill that specific hole. And then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm wanting them to fulfill actually their job to fulfill that? Or is there somebody else that God is sending in my life that will give me that same sense of acceptance and love? We know we get that from Christ, but I will not dismiss the fact that you feel that from certain relationships in your life. And so when you're setting that boundary, you're asking yourself, okay, how far can this person come before they go over the line? That's what a boundary is. It's an area, and then there's a limit, a line of division where no one can go past that. You need to figure out what your boundaries are. And how to figure out what your boundaries are, what are the things that you get upset about a lot? What are the things that disappoint you a lot? What are some of the things you need? Because whatever is going to hinder you from getting the things you need from these relationships, you need to put boundaries in place so then you won't get disappointed from the places that cannot provide you that. And so first, again, we're going to start with capacity. Does this person have capacity? When I'm setting these boundaries in my relationships, whether it's with people you are required to see and work with, let's say you have coworkers, let's say business partners, people you work in ministry or volunteer with, you're required to work with them. You don't have to be people pleasing, but you must be kind. We are called to be kind. And so you want to figure out, okay, if this is my boundary, how do I now set it? And so let me set the picture for you. So me as a business owner, when I very first got started, I wanted business, right? I wanted customers. I wanted them coming in. I wanted clients. And so I used to answer phone calls after 5 o'clock. Now, we know you can't call certain establishments and businesses and they call you after a certain time and someone answer, but I wanted those clients. And so eventually I had to set boundaries where the boundary was I just didn't answer. Eventually people will get the hint. You don't answer after a certain time. But instead of trying to answer, and they'll tell the person, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'll get to this tomorrow. Well, they're still getting feedback from you and you're still responding versus just shutting it off. The boundary is after a certain time, I don't answer the phone. Or after a certain time, I don't respond to any emails or messages. But it'll keep happening to you if you don't set that boundary. But how you set it is you put it in place and you follow through with it. And if anybody tries to go through that, you either put them on notice, allowing them to know what they did wrong. Like, hey, one of my boundaries is X, Y, and Z, and you crossed it by doing X, Y, and Z. Let's refrain from doing that, because if this happens again, there will be consequences of X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm not saying threaten people to say, well, if you keep doing this, I'll no longer talk to you. Instead, say, this is really going to harm my relationship, and I'm bringing this up because I want you in my life. So how can we figure this out so that that boundary doesn't get crossed, because this is important to me. And so the other day I was in an amazing pray and chat Bible study, and we talked about communication styles, and I brought up that there are 3, there may be more. If you are a linguistic or someone in communications, you know more than I do, but we know there's passive aggressive, there's aggressive, and there's assertive. Where we want to be is assertive. Assertive says, I say what I need to say. I may say it kindly, but I may also say it a little bit stern, but I don't have to say it rudely and angrily or aggressively. Passive aggressive is when you do the action, but you're not actually expressing what it is that bothered you. So for example, one of your friends didn't answer the phone when you called them. So the next time they call you, you don't want to answer the phone. Well, they don't even know what they did. And you don't even know why they couldn't answer the phone. So now you're upset and you're creating a passive aggressive form of communication when you could have just assertively said, hey, I really needed you the other day when I called. Could you let me know kind of next time if you have time what's going on, and just kind of let me know, because I really was looking forward to talking to you and I was hoping you were available. Then the friend could say, hey, you know what, I'm so sorry, I was not available. If you give me a heads up next time, or if it's an emergency, just send me a text and say, girl, it's an emergency, and then we can go from there. But the problem is people communicate passive aggressively, or they communicate in a way where they accuse you before they know what the story actually is, and that could end a complete friendship, that could end a relationship, that could end a father-daughter relationship, or a mother-son relationship, or vice versa. And so you have to communicate assertively. What that looks like, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so let's say I have a client who calls me and it's 5 p.m. I'm not going to answer. The next day they send me an email, hey, I called you yesterday. I'm going to politely say, thank you for giving me a call. My office hours are da-da-da-da-da. Please try to call between those times, because if not, the phone call won't be answered until the next business day, or I won't be able to get to you until the next time I'm available. But you're setting the boundary. You're letting them know these are my office hours. This is my time. And then you're also giving them a follow-up to say, like, hey, if you can call during this time, I will follow up with you afterwards. But if you can't call between those times, this is what's going to happen, right? And so another way to do that, let me see an example between a mother and a daughter, because that's something I see a lot of people have, they're struggling with right now. Let's say you call your mom and you're telling her some great news, right? Mom, I got this. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, what you gonna do with that? Okay. Like, I'm trying to tell you some good news. You're not excited for me. What you say is, Mom, when I just called, I was really hoping you would be excited for me. And I understand you may not understand what I'm explaining to you, but this is a big deal for me. So next time, if I bring something to you, could you be excited for me and then ask questions later? I would really like that from you. It would help me. Now, it's up to your mom what she says after that. And if she says like, oh, girl, you're doing too much, I don't have to do that, you always offended, boundary. She no longer gets to be a part of your life when you celebrate something. She's not the person you call anymore. She can come to the party, but she's not the person you plan the party with. She can, know about it, but she's not the person you call to feel celebrated. Because there is someone I know in your life that will celebrate you that you can call. The problem that I notice so many people run into is we want to change people to be who we want to be, then accept people for who they are, and then receive the blessing of the people that God put in our life that will fulfill the thing that we were hoping this other person would fulfill. And so you want to see, does this person even have the capacity? If they have the capacity, great, let's have some great assertive communication so that we can get on board, because I want you in my life. If they don't have the capacity, okay, here are some boundaries I have to put in place. And if you cross these boundaries, there's going to be some consequences. And so people always think that I am just so hard up, that I just cut people off and I'm just heartless. No, I love people very, very hard, but I also love myself just as hard. And the Bible says to love yourself as you love others. The better I take care of me, the healthier I am, the better I can be to all the people around me. So you're not cut off because I didn't love you. You're not cut off because I didn't like you. You were cut off because you were unhealthy to me in the season of my life where I needed healthy people around me. And that is simply just that's simply what it is. And I believe that people who truly love you will understand that and respect that. And if they won't, then that goes again to say, okay, a boundary needs to be in place, or this person needs to be held accountable. And that may mean for a season, there's no communication with that person. That may mean for a season, you have to back off, say, you know what, I need a minute. I'm not sure when we can bring this back, but right now I can't, this relationship can't be sustained right now for me. And I won't say that it will be easy, but I will say it will be so healthy for you. I've never felt more free than when I freed myself from people who did not appreciate me and would not respect my boundaries. When I tell you, it feels like a weight lifted off you. You feel so free. And I believe that's the freedom that Christ wants us to walk in. And that's why boundaries have to be set. And so if we give up the right to try to change people, and receive them for who they are, accept them for the capacity that they have, and decide to move on to the people who God has put in your life that will be healthy for you in that season, you would find so much freedom. You would literally wake up glowing and happy because you are now free from people who don't want to respect your boundaries. And people who disappoint you. People are not disappointing you because they don't love you. Sometimes people disappoint you because they don't have the capacity to do the thing you're asking them to do. And it don't make them bad people. It just make them not the people who should be in your life right now. And so when I say cut off a mom, cut off a dad, or cut off your friend or whatever, it's not because you don't love those people. It's not because they don't love you. It is because where God is taking you, you need to be around healthy people. I truly believe there are some places in life that you will not be able to enter until you remove the people in your life who will not respect your boundaries. So it's time for you to sit down, create a list of all the closest people to you. Out of that list, see who you have the most. My therapist was amazing when I was in therapy. And one of the things that she told me was, notice how you feel when the person's name pops up on your phone. Do you get anxious? Do you feel unsettled? How do you feel? That may be one of the people that you need to now start setting boundaries with, because it's a reason why you feel like that when they call you. Especially if it's not like love butterflies, and it's your spouse or something like that, 2, once you get that list of people, figure out who are your go-tos. Who are the people that you don't even have to really have too many boundaries with, because they already respect you as a person on the level that you need them to in this season of your life. Because then those are like your go-tos. Those are like your inner circle. And then you make another circle where maybe it's the people in your life that they aren't your inner circle. You're not going to call them first, but they'll be invited to things and they can, maybe offer a little bit of advice every now and then, but usually they're not the people that are your go-tos. Third, that was second. Third, think about the people who may need to go. And that's a hard conversation because people usually don't want to let go of people. You usually feel bad about it. Some people you just grow apart and you just haven't heard from them in a long time. Maybe the last time y'all text was months ago and you just been like, oh, I need to call that person or whatever. And that's fine too. But who are the person that you actually need to make an effort to sit down and say, hey, I think this person has to go. Because we tend to take people from season to season to season and don't want to lose them, but also don't realize they're holding us back. And when people hear holding us back, it doesn't mean that that person is not a good person. It just means they're not for you in this season. Everything is not personal about somebody. And a lot of people will take it personal because they can't understand, and there's a sense of rejection when someone removes you from their life. But it seriously is, you just can't go with me. And the crazy thing is, if you can't go with me, that means I also can't go with you. So it's a beautiful both way that God is doing something in our life that you may have to go, I may have to go, and we may just have to, love each other from afar. And that goes for family relationships. That's not just, a lot of times people talk about that with friends, but I'm talking about family. And so set your boundary. First, create the boundary, then set the boundary. Then hold people accountable who don't set that boundary. Who don't respect the boundary. So then you can decide how much access they get to you. You are so important. The role you play on this earth is important. Your purpose is important. And the people you have around you will either support that purpose and push you and catapult you forward, or they will hold you back and they will drain you and suck the life out of you. And that's not what you want. And that's not what God wants for you either. So what we're going to do, starting today, get out your list. You are going to create your boundaries. You're going to put in a plan to set those boundaries. And you are going to figure out who needs to be removed from your life. And pray and ask God to help you do it. It's not easy, but God is so gracious that I'm going to tell you, it don't sting. Not even a little bit, because you recognize it is for your good and it is for the best. It's part of the best plan that He has for you, because His plan is the best. Period. His plan is the best. And so if they can't come, they can't come. But also recognize that people may set boundaries and you can't come either. And so you have to recognize that if you have the ability to set these boundaries and it's a good thing, it's a good thing when people set boundaries and you have to leave their life too. And so ask God to help you with this. If you are somebody who is like clinking, you're like, no, I can't let them go, pray and ask God and He'll help you. So many times I was just like, okay, God, I need to know who has to go and who can stay. And every time it was so hard because I'm like, but I love them. Like I literally love them. But then God said, I know. But do you love them more than you love the life that I've destined for you and the purpose that I have for you? And the answer is always no. I've always said, if I have to choose between you and the will of God for my life, you will never get chosen. It will always be the will of God for my life. And that stands for any and everybody. I know that sounds harsh, but it's just the reality that if His plan is best for me, I have to choose His plan over any and everybody. Because that means it's best for that person too. Because you think that the decisions you're making are just for you, but it's for the betterment of everybody that's involved. Because His plan is not just good for you, it's good for them too. And so it's time for you to create your boundaries, set them, and then figure out who can stay and who needs to go. And I really believe this is a timely word from God, because the time is now. You don't have any more time to waste to figure out what's next. Because people can truly hinder you from your destiny if you'll keep them around too long. And so your goal now is to figure out, okay, God, who can stay and who has to go? Help me love them in their departure, but help me not hold on to things that no longer serve me to be the best version of myself. Because that's who God is creating you to be, the very best version of yourself that He has created you to be. You are made in the image of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. You are made in the image. Let man be made in our image. That means He is looking for His reflection in you. And we cannot be a reflection of Him if we don't know how to let go of people who are not good for us in this season, or people who God have just simply said they can no longer go with you. And so if you have questions, if you want a whole Zoom session on this, y'all, I got so much on setting boundaries, and I am not trying to say I'm an expert, but I'm just saying I have it down packed to a science, okay? Because one thing, if I have never did anything, I have moved fast on the obedience of the Lord. When God tells me something, He starts showing me something. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't take a couple years to kind of wean yourself off of certain relationships, because sometimes it'll move from like very close friends to acquaintances, then it'll move from acquaintances to no, that whole thing. But I'm just saying that one thing I know is when I know that God has something for me and he shows me something that's holding me up, I move fast on that thing, because I'm like, ooh, I don't want to delay my own promise, the blessing of the Lord that he has for me. And so I am more than willing. That's probably going to be one of our workshops. If you haven't joined our women's community at thrivewomen.co, it is amazing. Just a group of women. Our mission is to grow in Christ and thrive in life, and that's exactly what we're doing. And we are going to have some workshops on setting boundaries, because it's important. But we're also going to have some workshops on image and how do we see ourselves. Do we see ourselves as made in the image of Christ? If so, what does that even look like? And so if you're interested, make sure you join the community and sign up. And as always, I love y'all. If you have questions, if you have a story to tell, put it in the chat and I will comment back, because I like to hear stories and be able to give advice on this, because I recognize this is a strong point of mine. And one of the things God is doing in this season is helping me speak up about the things that he has strengthened me in and gifted me in, and being able to walk people through that. Because just like the last video, the abstinence video, it was something that I can't say I've mastered it or nothing, but it is something that I have a lot of wisdom on, and it's something that I'm willing to share with anybody who is asking for help, anybody that is walking that journey. So make sure you comment below if you have a question. You can also email me. My email is below. And as always, I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.